Hello, good morning, and thanks for joining us today on Morning Update. This is also live on Wizard TV. On TV XYZ, you can follow us on Facebook and YouTube, and same for Wizard TV. I'm here with Abena.
Nana Abena Sewa, and indeed, we don't know how God did it, but we are here. A lot of people have died from COVID and many other underlying diseases, but you and I are alive this morning, and so we say thank you, Baba, for keeping us alive. Once again, good morning and welcome to the Morning Update on TV XYZ. This morning, as we do always, we would serve you a variety of breakfast when it comes to stories in our newspapers, stories that are happening around you and all over the world.
Yes, and this morning I saw a post. It just said, may God give you the key to any door you want to open.
Amen.
And that is what is carrying me today. The song we've been playing at the background just before we came to you is just reflecting on your soul.
Yes.
Just wake up, feel strong, be motivated, and go for that goal.
We move.
On this program today, we'll be looking at the newspapers. A lot of things are happening around the country, apart from what is happening at the Appointments Committee of Parliament. We know the Supreme Court sat yesterday, and today there will be a ruling. Will Jean Mensa enter the witness box? Ghanaians will be following proceedings that will be live on TV XYZ. Apart from that, you are a young man, you may have lost your job, or you know, under these COVID times, a lot of companies are looking for strategies to cut down staff because productivity is low, people are not buying, revenues are dropping, which means if you want to look for a job, you may not get it. So how do you survive? How do you find ways of earning your daily bread? That will be part of the conversation on this program, and this is always sponsored by Health Alert Clinic. We'll be taking a short break. When we come back, we'll tell you what the newspapers are reporting this morning.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to Somenya or Accra.
Sure.
Check, auto checks, check, auto checks, check.
Emission, check.
Check, auto checks.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check, auto checks.
Welcome back. This is the TV XYZ's morning show. Morning update is also live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow us on Wezo TV. Just call a friend and tell them to join this conversation. It's now time for the newspaper headlines segment. But before that, I want to wish somebody who is celebrating his 45th birthday today, Franklin Cudjoe. I think he's made a mark at 45 years and so much impact on public policy shaping, discourse, all those things you can talk about. I think he deserves to be celebrated.
Happy birthday.
So the team here would want to say happy birthday to you. And I believe that the team would also want to join the nation to pray for the finance minister designate who is not well. We all know he's in the US. Yesterday there were rumors that he's dead, of course.
Oh no.
It was sad, but we are happy that he's not dead. He's alive and recuperating in the US. So at this stage we can only join prayers for his life. Now let's look at the Daybreak newspaper. The front page comes with a picture. It looks a bit blurry, but I'm sure you have seen the picture. Ofori-Atta doing great, hospital bills not on government. That is how it was captured on the front page of the Daybreak newspaper. And this picture was sent by his special aide and it has gone viral on social media. Not too clear, but you see the finance minister there when he arrived at one of the airports on his way to the United States of America. Other stories on the front page: a Japan royalties transaction in national interest. Godfred Dami, and 959 is the only legitimate digital platform for NLA 5/90, and Akufo-Addo attends G5 Sahel summit in Chad. So those are the stories on the front page of the Daybreak newspaper. Let me do the business analyst quickly, and Abena, you can start with yours.
Okay.
NLA cautions Ghanaians against activities of fraudsters as sets star 959 hash as its official short code. Ghana under pressure to meet 2021 budget timelines as finance minister takes 2-week health leave. It's interesting how the business analyst is looking at the story. In other countries, when news went round, the false news went round about the demise of the finance minister, it would have affected the stocks and you would have seen numbers moving. I don't know how the GSC performed, but we are told that he's key in the presentation or packaging of the first budget statement under this administration if the Supreme Court upholds the elections. And so let's see how things go. Now Ghana's latest mine to pour first gold in 2 months time, also captured on the front page of the Business and Financial Times. Sorry, the Business Analyst. I'm very sorry for this. Business Analyst. The back page: downward trend in inflation could trigger policy rate cut in the first half of 2021. So that's how it appeared on the back page of the Business Analyst newspaper.
Now, before I start with mine, I would urge that you send through your comments on 0556 999 999 so that we keep this conversation as active as possible. Or you can also follow us on our Facebook, on our Instagram or Twitter on TV XYZ Ghana and send through your comments or even questions that you have. Now, on the front page of the Business and Financial Times, you can see here there's a chart of potential COVID-19 vaccination rollout schedules. So you can see that right there. It says potential, so I don't think that it's any way suggesting that is what is going to happen, but just to give a fair idea. And also it says that large quantities of vaccines can only arrive next year. And also it says here that FDA extends ongoing registration of imported products to February ending, and NLA is still cautioning members on fraudsters. So please let's be aware of that. Now on the back page it says that there's some good news for SMEs because FBN Bank is supporting them financially. Now farmers in the north hoard maize in anticipation of high prices.
Now let's look at the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The banner headline is on the Supreme Court hearing of the election petition case, and that's how it comes. You see, Supreme Court rules on motion today. That's the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Now let me go into other headline stories. 4 die in Adenta Dodoa road crash, and President attends G5 Sahel summit in Chad. He's actually back home. Now, there are two stories I want to just look at the few paragraphs. The one talking about the death of 4 people on the Adenta Dodowa Road is a sad story. And it talks about 4 people who lost their lives in the accident yesterday when a Kia Rhino truck crashed into a motorcycle and other vehicles at a Fulani Junction on the Adenta Dodowa Road in the Greater Accra region. The incident happened around 8 a.m. Sad there. And the other one has to do with the elections, the just ended elections. And you remember there was violence, and Kuma Central is one of them. There is one thing many people are seeing a bit curious. This story goes like this. For the 6th time, the Accra Circuit Court has adjourned the case in which National Security Operative allegedly shot a journalist, a policeman in the NDC and an NDC chairman at Sabon Zongo electoral area in the Ablekuma Central constituency on December 8th. The case has been adjourned to March 15 because the substantive prosecutor, Inspector Eric Pobi, was absent from court. You know, this is a very important case. Remember that when the National Security Minister designate appeared before the Appointments Committee of Parliament, they asked him a very important question about what happened at Techiman South. And he told the panel that the investigations are ongoing. They are still trying to find those involved. Beyond that, the MP for Norton provided some video evidence that, look, the video is available. It is not difficult to identify those who were armed, who fired the shots, who were not provoked. And then you interrogate some of them, and by now we should have known who is involved. Now, if the prosecutor in this Ablekuma Central case is not appearing in court, it tells you that state itself has not attacked that agency in bringing that matter to rest. And it also happens at a time when there are lots of speculations that many of those in uniform who were deployed and were involved in the firing of arms may not be the proper military and police personnel. And so there's a lot of twist to this particular case, but let's see how it's being followed. But I know that the Ghana Journalists Association, the Media Foundation for West Africa, are very much interested in this case, and then they put pressure on authorities to bring the perpetrators to book. Ghanaian Times on its front page quickly. Upper East region needs combined harvesters to boost farmer services. Ministry of Food and Agriculture Regional Director is saying, and then public caution against consumption of adulterated groundnut paste. Adulterated groundnut paste. Even if they were going to use it to prepare soup, maybe it can take care of some of the ingredients that may have been added to make it look nice and so on. But people buy groundnut paste and then apply it on their sliced bread and eat raw.
I love that.
I'm wondering how easy it will be for many people who go to the market to really identify which one is proper groundnut paste and which one is adulterated. It's just like palm oil.
I think they allow you to taste. So if you're, I don't know how different that would be.
What I know is that many young girls these days, they like the already prepared food joints. And so if they are not used to
that's not fair.
tasting,
that's not fair. If you say many, if you say many,
and they are not used to
some. If you say many, that's not fair. Now, speaking of fairness, we did mention something about Funny Face having an issue with the police. That's last week, and it says here that Ofankor Circuit Court, presided over by Honorable Ebenezer Osei Darko, has ordered Ghana Police to send comic actor Funny Face to Accra Psychiatric Hospital for 2 weeks. So I guess there is some grounding. Yes.
You remember when you had the interview with the what's the name, Sadiq?
Yeah.
He raised concern about his recent activities, and I even heard you pass a comment that it looks a bit funny because we've known Funny Face over the years, and in the last few months,
he's going
a few things have not appeared to be.
It's been more than months. I think the first time his first wife came out with the 2 minutes, incident, and also his second wife depriving him of having time with his family, etc., has affected him. And because he has some underlying or some fundamental mental issues, it's escalating than normal. Now, still on our newspaper review, on the front page of the Daily Graphic, it says here that faded markings pose threat to road users. And yesterday, something happened when I was on my way home. Now, my car was going that way, then all of a sudden we see a truck stop. in the middle of the road is broken down, and it had the triangle so close to the vehicle, so you couldn't even tell exactly. So then if we were on top speed, we would have just bumped into it. So please, drivers, if you have an incident with your car, the triangle has to be a bit further away from the car so that vehicles that are coming will know there is something happening. But if you put it close to the car, then it defeats the purpose. And so they're saying here that faded markings pose threat to road users. Now again, it says independence celebration suspended, so the children will not be standing in the sun.
It's good that children.
this time.
It's good that children are not going to be engaged
Because a lot.
or put under the heat of the sun on that day.
On
But
that
it is
day.
cosmetic. If you issue a statement that because of COVID, we don't want the children to be part of the Independence Day celebration, it could be done virtually anyway. But that is not solving the problem. Go to the schools, they are still packed. Go to the schools, especially head teachers who are in charge of schools in deprived communities. When the GES has not sent them the PPE and all the other things they need, they can do their own things. I've seen a video in which, I don't know if it was stage managed, but this is a young boy who's about 6 years who goes to the basin where he has to sanitize by using water and soap, but he opens it, the water is not really flowing, and then he dips his hand
oh my God,
in the basin where people have actually washed their hands and they have collected the wastewater, and then he just moved on.
Oh Lord.
Look, we are not monitoring our children well enough in the schools.
At all.
Look at them on their way home. They move in clusters.
Yes.
And anything can happen. We are only praying, and we are thankful to God that many of these children are
still
naturally
alive,
protected. And so even if they contract the disease, at least the fatality rate is very, very, very low.
Now there's a picture here also on what we are talking about. See, there are children studying under schools, and
the
they're all
cameras will
clustered.
capture this particular picture.
These are about 4 children on one desk or 3 on one desk. There's no observance of social distancing. Why are we putting our children through this?
Well, the GES says there's no cause for alarm. The teacher unions are saying there's no cause for alarm, and so we pray.
Even NUGS is saying there's no cause for alarm,
even though they know better than us. But we pray.
Anyways.
The Ghanaian, the Chronicle newspaper, on its front page, I see lawyer Chachichi Kata and lawyer Akoto Ampao, and this is the headlines. Subpoena can't be used to disguise application. Subpoena can't be used to disguise application. That's the banner headline. Credit us with that knowledge of the law. And I thought Collins Dowda connived with a Sherman MP to push me. Eslowusu. Yesterday she appeared before the appointments committee. It's strange that many of the papers are not actually reporting on the controversies that we followed on at the committee hearing. There was the issue about the closure of the radio stations. There were issues about her involvement in Kelly GVG. There were issues about her perceived arrogance and then the posture of intimidating people she works with, even though she's a public servant. So a lot of things happened. And she stood her ground. She was very assertive, spoke eloquently. And I saw a tough woman who had psychologically psyched herself that, look, I am going to face the minority. I know these bullets will be fired at me, but I won't be intimidated.
She was prepared. I admire her confidence, to be honest.
But there are several issues in there that were not satisfactorily responded to. And one of them is about the apology she is supposed to have said she rendered. And I've seen some commentary on social media that actually did not happen. But those are politics and governance, so let's leave it there.
Yes.
The back page of the Chronicle is just sports. I don't do sports, so some of the names I don't even want to mention them. If you try,
we'll try.
Let's full of energy to return around Liverpool slum. Yo, at least Zidane.
You know
Zidane. The name was very popular.
All right. Now, Noguchi has been complaining about their test kits. It seems they are in luck this time. So Noguchi receives digital laboratory information system. Hopefully, we'll be getting good results going forward based on what has happened with Parliament. And also, police shut down pubs and drinking sports on Valentine's Day. No wonder people came home early. Eric, I saw you home early.
I'm a responsible man who love my
kids. The pub was closed, Eric.
I won't say much. Unprecedented. Let's leave that. Otherwise, you put me on the spot. Unprecedented, rowdy nature of MPs attracted soldiers into the chamber. Look, well, let's leave it. 2020 parliamentary results 27, and then NLA wants GTV to stop live telecast of illegal draw, and then Nyonyo retains his Volta Regional Council of State seat, and he beat his opponent by only 2 votes. I think we are done with the newspaper, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. So we're taking a short break. Wisdom Hede Jomna will be joining us with the news.
Now he says.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome back to the morning update on TV XYZ. My name is Nana Abena Sewa. This program is proudly brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water, Simply Natural, and of course Health Alert Clinic. Now, Health Alert Clinic provides health services by using the herbal products to cure some of the diseases like chronic diabetes, chronic hypertension, stroke, numbness, waist and muscle pains with machine treatment, and also they treat ulcer, prostate issues, menstrual problems, so for the ladies, and also it treats burning sensation in the foot and body, chronic body pains, waist and bone pains, typhoid, bad cholesterol, gonorrhea and syphilis, dizziness, also white. And if you can't sleep, Health Alert Clinic is the place to be. Now also they do free hepatitis testing, so if you want to test for hepatitis B, you would have to go there. Now they are at Medina Post Office behind the First Atlantic Bank. You can just go there and they will treat you, or you can call them on 0242 518893 or 0242 518865. Before the break, we did mention quite a number of stories in the newspapers that we reviewed. Now, as always, Wisdom is here to keep us updated. Now, he says his name is Nyansa Hedechomle. Good morning.
I won't mind you. That's mischievous attitude this morning.
Me?
I won't say anything.
Oh, Lord. Everybody knows I'm innocent.
You innocent.
Yes,
okay.
please. Not.
We'll debate that on a different platform.
No debate. What do you have?
So I'll be telling about Ken Ofori-Atta, who is far away in the US. There's news that he is not dead. He's alive. Well, government is here to make an official statement about that. Also, Madame Esla Owusu-Ekufo. You know there was a clash between her and the NDC MPs. Your role model. Okay. Well, I'll be telling you about that perceived, her perceived arrogance, which the NDC MPs were referring to. And then also, to be or not to be, we had the first part last week. This week, today, the Supreme Court is also going to decide whether the NDC or John Mahama will be allowed to reopen his case. And then your second role model, Funny Face, has been sent to the psychiatry. So I'll be telling you about these.
I don't think I'm funny in any way, so please give us the stories.
Many thanks for your company this morning. Let's begin the stories. And Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is not dead. This is a definite response from his aide. Government and his family are, however, yet to comment on rumors that went viral about his demise soon after he was transferred to the US for treatment after post-COVID complications. Here is how the story unfolded.
Finance Minister designate was rushed to the US following post-COVID-19 complications. A statement issued on Sunday described as difficult to treat in Ghana. Barely 24 hours after his departure, rumors went viral on social media about his demise. Fear gripped many concerned Ghanaians as initial posts on social media and other online portals suggested unusual movements around his house at cantonments. Ghana Web also reported that some staff of his household were spotted removing a black cloth that was used to decorate the premises, while a police patrol team prevented people from entering. It also reported neighbors saying they had earlier seen some vehicles moving in and out of the residence, but could not confirm what exactly was happening. But his office has issued a formal statement assuring the public he is alive. His special aide, Michael Bediako, wrote, Honorable Minister designates Delta 157 has landed. He's in good spirits. He sends his regards. Ken Ofori-Atta was supposed to appear before Parliament on Tuesday, February 16, 2021 for vetting after he was nominated by President Akufo-Addo as the Finance Minister designate. The Finance Ministry, in an earlier press release, said after recovering from COVID-19 last December, Mr. Ofori-Atta has had medical complications which doctors advise require further interventions not currently available in Ghana. At the time of filing this report, the ministry and family was yet to issue a formal statement to dispute the death rumor.
Now, a section of the public is, however, still skeptical. While the nation prays for speedy recovery, some believe his visit to the U.S. was to buy time ahead of his appearance before the appointment committee. Meanwhile, policy think tank Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, which has petitioned Parliament against Ken Ofori-Atta's confirmation, has expressed surprise at the decision of the former Deputy Bank of Ghana boss not to testify. Now, Mr. Mensa Thompson is kicking against the confirmation of Ken Ofori-Atta in his petition, has said to the appointment committee that he fingered the nominee direct role in the collapse of the number of financial institutions. ASEPA, in referencing the financial sector cleanup, which saw the withdrawal of licenses, the affected institutions said the minister designate should be facing prosecution for his reckless decision, which cost government over 21 billion cedis. In his addendum to the petition, he cited the former Central Bank Deputy Governor and Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu and 5 others as persons to testify. But lawyers for Dr. Isiama Awuno Law Consultancy, in a brief statement, said their client is not aware or involved or in any way connected to the petition. Mensa Thompson, who spoke to TVX was the news, described the development as unfortunate.
We have asked Parliament to subpoena him to come and testify, not on personal grounds or not in his private capacity, but in capacity as a former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, who per the position he occupied, knew exactly what went wrong or what went on during the period as we have cited in the petition. And so that is why we asked Parliament that this is the person who was there at the time. He was an insider. He occupied the second highest position at the Central Bank when these things happened, and so he is better pleased to speak, to the issues. Today he's written to us saying he is not seized with any testimony, or he cannot talk to us or to Parliament about that. We believe that he has relinquished on his fiduciary responsibility to the state.
Now, 9 universal banks, 347 microfinance companies, 39 microcredit companies, as well as 15 savings and loans companies, 8 finance house companies, and 2 non-bank financial institutions have been collapsed since 2017. we still stay a little longer on the appointment committee sittings because Minister Designate for Communications and Digitalization, Esla Owusu Ekufo, was put on the spot by the NDC MPs who described her as arrogant in the discharge of her duties. Her role in the closure of radio stations also came up during her vetting.
For her blunt speech, many anticipated how proceedings unfolded. Her emotional outburst, posture towards the closure of radio stations, alleged threats in official communications, and suspected dubious transactions dominated the grilling session. On the closure of radio stations, Esla also denied targeting Muntie FM, Radio XYZ, and Radio Gold. She insisted that contrary to the Rambo-style approach and subsequent utterances that fueled public perception, she never authorized the shutdown.
And I'll be grateful if members would listen carefully. Following the recommendations of the audit report and the decision of the Electronic Communications Tribunal in the case of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association versus the NCA, the authority shut down 51 commercial FM stations for failure to submit complete set of renewal documents prior to expiry of their authorizations. In effect, they did not have a valid authorization, and that included Radio XYZ and Radio Gold. They were not targeted out for special mention. 51 stations were shut down.
Another controversy was when she was taken on for her description of minority members of parliament as having taken leave of their senses. MP for North Tong, who made references to the three related actions sought to suggest her perceived arrogance was influencing her work as a public officer, but Communication Minister Designate defended her insulting comments. She however offered a half-baked apology after she was pushed further.
Mr. Chairman, if you listen to the full tape and you do not situate what you're saying in context, then maybe what the member is saying may be justified. But what I said is, it looks as if they've taken leave of their senses. Excuse me to say. It's there. If we could just play it again, we would all hear exactly what I said.
The minister also responded to questions about the controversial Kelmy GVG.
No, it was a fixed fee per month. It's a fixed fee per month as they're providing a platform as a service.
Let's now go to the Supreme Court, where lead counsel for John Mahama in the election petition is seeking to reopen his case to get Jean Mensah into the witness box for cross-examination.
Last week, the Supreme Court in another unanimous ruling rejected Tsatsu Tsikata's request to cross-examine the EC chair, Jean Mensah. Though predicted, some CSOs and legal luminaries protested, warning it was a bad precedent that raises more suspicion and could affect the reputation of the court and EC's integrity. It subsequently ordered lawyers to file their closing arguments by Wednesday, February 17. But John Mahama's lead counsel, Tsatsu Tsikata, filed a motion of leave to reopen their case to compel EC chairperson Jean Mensah testify in court. He told the court his client is seeking to reverse a step he has taken. Here are excerpts of the proceedings.
Only point at which the matter changed, with necessity, that's the necessity in paragraph 15 that we are talking about. The point in time at which that situation changed was when it was indicated that despite the earlier election to adduce evidence, there would no longer be evidence used by the president.
My lords, with all due respect, this court has ruled that the first respondent never elected. So, counsel cannot be speaking to the same court and suggesting that she elected. We have to be faithful to the record of the court. My lord, the public is also listening, and they can be misled.
You see, the point I'm making is that in our ruling, we specifically say that the chairperson of the first respondent has a right not to adduce evidence. Not to adduce evidence. That's what your lordship said. Yes.
Now, the MPP has described the renewed attempt by the NDC to reopen the case as a desperate attempt targeting the EC boss. Addressing the media after the proceedings, Information Minister Designate Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah insisted the NDC has no strong case and that the request should be thrown out.
If you have taken a position that you are coming to court to make an argument before the court, gather your evidence and come and do same. If you have completed that, and you have announced voluntarily to the court that you have closed your case, why are you today now showing everybody that indeed you yourself are recognizing that you did not make a case compelling enough? And that is why you are saying that until and unless the EC chair is compelled to get into the box, you are not able to complete your case. And this is the hurdle that they have to cross. We look forward to what the court will say tomorrow.
But the NDC strongly disagrees. Here is a former Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayeni.
Madam Jean Mensah is not a party to the proceedings. Now, the fact that she had elected to give evidence on behalf of the Electoral Commission itself, on behalf of, shows that she is not the Electoral Commission. All right? Logically, you cannot say, I am doing something on behalf of somebody, and then turn around and say, I am that person. I don't see how you can do that. So, for us, she's not a party to the proceedings, and therefore, all right, then if that were the case, then Rojo Metilnunu is the same as His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Will you conflate the two?
And that was Dr. Dominic Ayeni, a member of the NDC legal team. Now, the Supreme Court will later this morning rule on that application, and TVXYZ News will bring you live coverage. Now, popular comedian Benson Nana Yaw Odro Boateng, known in showbiz as Funny Face, has been referred to the psychiatry. It follows these recent actions, which many see as worrying and the need for immediate attention before things get out of hands.
Popular Ghanaian actor and comedian Benson Nana Yaw Odro Boateng, popularly known as Funny Face, has been acting strangely over the past few weeks. Few days ago, he had an altercation with the police at Kaswa, and his viral video lamenting about how he was physically assaulted stoked public interest. He has since taken to social media issuing threats and using unsavory words amidst tears, raising more concern about his actions. Yesterday, he was arraigned before court after his arrest for the unlawful discharge of firearms during a banter with a pub owner. But he has been committed to the Accra Psychiatric Hospital for 2 weeks by the court. The Ofako Circuit Court, presided over by Ebenezer Osei Dako, ordered Ghana Police to send Funny Face to Accra Psychiatric Hospital, explaining that he does not sound normal. According to the judge, Funny Face is likely to be having a mental crisis and possibly going through depression. This comes after the comedian shared a video of himself in handcuffs being transported to court. The video was captioned, quote, "Jailed again yesterday afternoon till morning. Been taken to a Ofako Circuit Court. God is in control. Funny fans, spread this video. Justice for Funny Face," unquote.
And before we go, there is growing agitation among trotro drivers who want to increase fares in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, one of the local unions, National Drivers Association of Ghana, has announced that beginning next Monday, February 22, there will be a 10% increment across board. This decision, according to the driver unions, follows the upward adjustment of some taxes at the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, and the port. According to the agitating drivers, the service charge at DVLA has been increased to 15%, while tariffs on spare parts has also gone up by 40%. Again, lubricant and tariffs has also gone up by some 25%. 100%. And according to a statement by some of the unions, they said, quote, "We ask all drivers to ensure passengers put on nose masks before they enter their vehicles. Together, we can conquer COVID-19. And that's it for this morning's news in brief on the morning update. My name is Wisdom Hedejame.
Thank you, Wisdom Hedejame. Now, you heard his very last story where drivers want to increase fares by 10%. COVID is in, prices are still rising, people are losing their jobs. So if you're looking for a job, or you're looking to expand your business, or even looking to start a business, then wait for me. I'll be right back.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to Somenya or Accra.
Sure.
Check, auto checks. Check, auto checks. Check.
Emission, check.
Check, auto checks.
Alignment, check.
Auto checks. Check, auto checks.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check, auto checks.
Kofi na sen haba matumi sayade bia enanka metina homa me yade yakumie
oh na den health alert clinic de yedin haba ma any organic product nko a na sayade
be ma ne oba a wo ho ayamodene monko health alert clinic
de say ye be ma wintimi mu adwuma yi menstrual disorder hypertension na say enam yade STDs wo wadun som yade bia ye betene te e de amount wo sanso ye massaging any physiotherapy omo wo diagnostic machines e de hwehwe de peduem sanso na ultra scan
Health Alert Organic Shop nso wo hono mu a organic products nko a na wo moto honom hwehwe ye kira kwan e wo Madina Post Office ye wo First Atlantic Bank no echi hono mu a e wo Enkran
Freyen e wo 0242 518893 and 0242 518865 Health Alert Clinic go Heba.
Now, COVID-19 or the COVID pandemic has had effects on not just our health, but it has had effect on employment, on people's jobs. It's had effect on the economy at large. A lot are changing. Prices are going up, but most of the workers are not making as much to be able to meet the demands or to be able to meet the price spikes that are ongoing. Even traders have started hoarding goods. But it is well, and hopefully things will get better sooner than we are expecting, considering how fluid the virus is and is becoming. Now today we will be talking to an expert who will tell us how to expand our businesses or even how to start our own business when it comes to the pandemic and its ripple effect. But before we do that, let's take a motivational message from him.
And remember, in the opening quote, I said that every job you get is important in helping you prepare for the next job opportunity. So I'll tell you how each of the jobs I worked in prepared me for the subsequent jobs, and eventually I'll tell you about what I'm doing now and why my job experience is very relevant to me with what I'm doing now. My first job was in 2001 after I had completed school. I went to the Pope John Senior Secondary School and Junior Seminary, and after completing school in 2001, I had applied to read medicine in the University of Ghana, Legon. I did pure science when I was in the secondary school. Now, unfortunately, I was not given admission that year when I applied for school. So I was asked to apply the following year. Whilst waiting to go back to school, I had a friend advise me that, well, I did well. I passed with a distinction instead of just staying home doing nothing, because there was no need to rewrite any of my papers. I was advised to rather find a job in a school to teach, because then I would make use of my time and I would also get to share knowledge and information with the younger generation. So I decided to hunt for a job as a people teacher. in Koforidua as at that time, almost 20 years ago. I applied to a lot of schools, but just a school that called me up for my first job. And I was very excited about it when I had a call from the proprietor. So I went to the school and I was told that I was going to teach in class 6. At that time, I was like, well, class 6, primary, why not JSS and all that? But I took that in good strides because I believe that every opportunity I get prepares me for the next bigger opportunity. So I took up appointment as a pupil teacher for class 6 in a school called Time Tells International several years ago in Koforidua. I did that job for close to about 3 months, 4 months when I had another call from another school, this time Gateko JSS, which was a bigger school with a lot of students. So I felt that was also another challenge that I was really ready for at that time. So I went to see the proprietor. We had a conversation, and then I was given the opportunity to teach science, general science for the final year students. That was the JSS 3 students, and mathematics for those who are now in Form 1. Again, whatever I learned as a teacher in Time Tells, as a teacher in primary 6, prepared me adequately for my role.
So you heard from Mr. John Appiah, who is an entrepreneur, a human capital development specialist, and youth empowerment enthusiast. And he is the man we'll be talking to this morning with regards to making something out of ourselves or our lives during this pandemic. Now, good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for talking to us. We are very grateful. Now, we just watched a video where you were talking about your job experiences helping you. So you learn from here and you take it there. Can you kindly delve a little bit into that?
All right. So the essence of that particular video was to help especially young graduates out there to understand that even though you are done with school, you have ambitions, you want to work for big companies and all that, it doesn't usually start like that. Sometimes it has to start very small, and as you go along the line, you pick up valuable lessons from every job you get in order to prepare you adequately for what people would want to call the dream job. So in that video, what I was trying to do was to tell people the genesis of my career. I worked in a number of big companies. I've done a number of things that people assume that it just happened just like that. But the point I was trying to drive home was the fact that it all started from somewhere. And we want people to have that mindset that it will not happen in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. But the most important thing is that whatever you get doing, do it very well, pick up valuable lessons, and then apply that as you move higher.
Thank you. I'm sure you have heard or even seen some people or heard friends talk about people who have lost their jobs or have been laid off during this COVID-19, and for that matter, probably looking for a job or looking to start something. What do you have to tell them, sir?
The first thing I need to say is that there's nothing wrong with you for losing your job as a result of the many implications of the COVID-19 pandemic. Most of the time, people blame themselves so much whenever external conditions result in a loss of job or in a loss of livelihood. I think that it's important for people to quit the pity party and not feel that it's because they are, doing something wrong. That's how come they may have lost their jobs. They need to understand that this is something that is beyond all of us. Nobody rehearsed for COVID-19. Nobody prepared for COVID-19. And as a result of the impact, obviously, some people will lose their jobs. So if you happen to be one of those people that lost your job, don't think that there's something wrong with you. The second thing I want to dwell on is the fact that although you may have lost your job as a result of the impact of the COVID-19, you need to keep in mind that you have not lost your skills, you have not lost your competencies, and you have not lost your abilities. Because the same skills and competencies that landed you in your previous job is the same skills and competencies that can get you into another job. So we need to have that at the back of our mind. The third thing I'll talk about is that, you have built experience and valuable network from the work you did before you lost it. So you need to make a conscious effort to leverage on the experience and the network of contacts you have built over the years to try and find your way back into earning a livelihood or into doing a job. The other thing I'll draw people's attention to is the fact that even though you have lost your job as at now, you can use this period as a time of reflection to ask yourself very important questions, including the fact that where you left or where you lost your job, is it an industry that you are still interested in doing or working in? Or this is the time for you to reflect and look at new opportunities that may come your way. And I think that people need to keep that in mind in order to be able to make a very good decision for the especially in these very difficult times. And the last thing is that people should not just look into the formal sector. There are a lot of opportunities that people can get in the informal sector. Only if we close our minds to the fact that because you went to school, you should necessarily wear a tie and go to a formal job. There are a lot of opportunities in the informal sector.
Just a little on some of the opportunities on the or in the informal sector, because let's say I am not internet inclined or social media inclined to be able to set something up online, which is sort of the move that is happening now. What are some of the areas that you would advise?
Okay, so let me give you a very typical example. I have a friend of mine who graduated from the university some years back. The person has done national service and has been looking for a job almost close to a year now. Meanwhile, the girl's mother works, sells food. She's wachi, the popular food called wachi. And it is from this wachi that the mother was able to take care of her, pay her school fees and all that. So while staying home with nothing to do, I just had a conversation with her and said, you know what, your mother runs a very big wachi shop. Why don't you go and work with her as you wait to get that opportunity or get that dream job? Why don't you work with her and all the knowledge and the information you have acquired whilst you are in school, you can apply that to improve what she's doing and earn something for herself. Initially, she thought it was a joke, but she started it. And I can tell you for a fact, over the past few months, there's been significant improvement in the way the mother even sells the wachi, and she's been able to earn something for herself as a result of that. And she's learning a lot from that, customer service, how to interact with people and all those things. All right. So I think that people should not close their minds to very good opportunities that are within, wherever they find themselves in. So, for example, people find it very odd for a graduate to, for example, work in a washing bay, or for a graduate to, let's say, do the transport business or drive an Uber or things like that, or work in a restaurant. Yeah. I think that if you are inclined on earning an income and ready and willing to take advantage of the opportunities around you, you can definitely rise up the ranks and do something meaningful with yourself.
Right. Now, you're a businessman. I know that you own certain businesses yourself. Have you been hit by the COVID in any way that you had to make changes, and what were the changes that you made?
Yeah, so two things. My dad used to run a clinic as far back as 1981. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2018. So I've taken up the mantle of running the business. And in the heat of the COVID, a lot of people didn't want to go to the hospitals in the first place. So one of the significant impacts it had on my business running the clinic was the fact that a lot of people were keeping to themselves and staying at home, doing self-medication and other things, rather than walking into the hospital to actually get proper care. So one of the main impacts that hit that business was that people were not coming to the clinic. I also run a human capital development organization, and what we did was a lot of trainings and engagement and all that. Now, with the impact of the COVID-19, a lot of companies and organizations cut down on trainings and other things. And of course, while that was one of the things I did for a living, I was greatly impacted by it. But what I learned from all of these things is that, one, in the clinic business, I've learned to be a better manager. I've learned how to be able to work even with the little resources that come in. And then also on the ALU Consult, which is a human capital development organization I run, I have mastered the art of using virtual or online trainings to be able to meet the needs and the requirements of the market. So these are two clear impacts COVID-19 had on my business, and these are some of the things I learned from it, and now I'm doing better as compared to earlier on.
Right, now, speaking of learning, what advice would you give to those who are currently employed or are lucky enough to still be holding on to their jobs in this moment?
The first thing I'll tell them is that you need to remember that you have to be relevant to your organization. Definitely. You need to, on a regular basis, ask yourself, what can I do in my job role that will ensure that I contribute to the bottom line of the business? What are the key skills that I need to keep improving to ensure that I'm a valuable team member at work? If you don't look at these things and you assume that, well, you got a job and therefore you're going to have the job forever, it will get to a point you may lose your job because you may have lost relevance to that organization. The second thing too is that for those who are gainfully employed, this is not the time to be lazy and passive at work. There are a lot of people that do what I call do little every day but ensure your salary is intact. So even though they go to work, they do minimum things at work, or they don't even exert themselves at work. They just stay in their corner, clock in and clock out, and at the end of the month, they expect to get their salaries. What I would say to them is that don't be lazy and passive at work. Be actively involved in anything that goes on in your workplace. So that's how you can ensure that you are relevant. And the last thing I will say is that for those that are gainfully employed, stop making excuses and not go to work, and today your mother is sick, tomorrow I need to travel for an emergency and all that. Because the point is that if you continue living a habit of excuses, it will get to a point your organization will make you redundant, because then you don't essentially contribute anything to what it is that is going on at the workplace. So you need to stop the habit of giving excuses and give your best to your work. That's the only way you can be assured of maintaining your job or rising or progressing along that trajectory.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Appiah, for talking to us this morning. We are grateful, and we do hope that you have a good day, sir.
Thank you very much, and have a good day too.
All right, thank you. Now, we just spoke to Mr. John Appiah, who is an entrepreneur, a human capital development specialist, and also a youth empowerment enthusiast. And he said a few things that I picked up. He said, to those of us who are still lucky to be doing something, he says, self-introspection is one thing that you should do as an employee, and also stop giving excuses. I work today, my mother is sick, tomorrow I have to go and clean this and do that. Please stop giving the excuses and be effective to your organization. This has been the social segment on the morning update on TV XYZ, proudly brought to you by Health Alert Clinic and of course X Natural Mineral Water. Stay tuned.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia, edia tre medjuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre, miye busia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodoɔ bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, akuokuro bosia, susu account, ɛne da so wɔ hɔ savings account, me bada chain savings account, ɛne de akeka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Na won so wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome to the newspaper review segment of Morning Update on TV XYZ and Wezo TV. I've told you that it's available on YouTube, it's available on Facebook. All you have to do is to look for Wezo TV and follow us. At this time, we want to engage you as well. Look for 0556 999 999 on your phone. Just tap them and send your text message via WhatsApp, and we'll get them shared with those of you also watching us from across the country, outside the sub-region, and as far as the Western world, those monitoring us on social media. Several interesting stories are in there. The graphic, for example, has a banner headline talking about faded markings posing threat to road users. The Independence celebration suspended by GES because of COVID. The Business Analyst on its front page says government under pressure to meet 2021 budget timelines as finance minister takes a 2-week health leave. The Daily Dispatch talking about rowdy nature of MPs, justifying why the soldiers had to go into the chamber. And of course, the Business and Financial Times also has interesting stories. I have an insurance marketer with me. He's not new to television and radio. He has a lot of influence on public discourse. It's called Edgar Redu. Edgar, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you doing?
Yeah, fine. I like your voice.
Thank
I
you.
like your top. I like your beard. I like your head. Everything about you, I like it.
Thank you very much, Marcel. But I believe you will, or you are not misconstrued.
No, as for your head, I have some.
No, yes, also so you are not misconstrued because it appears these days some people are trying to gain some notoriety. I think it was sometime last week we heard of.
Is it funny face?
No, the gay, whatever they call it.
That they have opened an office
you
somewhere.
You know what it is like, yes. So at times when you are liking things, you have to be careful.
You have to be careful. No,
because,
I like
somebody would
misconstrue.
Exactly.
Okay, please. As for me, I like anything nice, not something that is not nice. That one I will say it. I don't care what my producers will say. Akwaba. Lots of things on the table. Yesterday we had the rumor that went around about the finance minister. We can happily say that he's well. What we have monitored suggests he's doing well at the hospital. But what is significant is that a lot of people are interested in him in particular because he was supposed to have been before the appointments committee today. The budget statement is supposed to be delivered, and at this critical stage you need somebody like him to be in good shape to be able to help advise government on what strong policies they have to put in place to manage the economy at this trying time. When you heard the news, how did it come to you, and so far what do you think we should be doing as a people?
Well, basically, I was not surprised because I had known that he had not been well, for some time. He actually contracted the COVID, so I was not surprised. But certainly, I had a little bit of concern. That is, to what extent has this COVID? Because you see, the COVID itself has its own set of lifestyle. It does a lot of damage to people. I mean, we still haven't been able to come out to say, look, this is what COVID does. Okay? Some cases differ from other cases. Okay? Some of the cases, the moment you get it, it is not just dealing with your lungs. It immediately starts to hit your liver, it hits your kidneys, it hits your heart. Basically, it's like it is taking over all the organs of the body. You get it? So it's not like something that is straightforward. So when actually I heard that he needed these other things, I became a little bit, I wouldn't say alarmed, but a little bit not too happy. Because as I said, the studies that I have done about this COVID thing, so I began asking myself that could it be some of those underlying factors that had been triggered in a different area altogether? I mean, so yes, to that extent, I was not happy to hear that. It didn't come to me as a rumor, actually. I mean, I knew it as a fact that it had happened, so I was not really like trying to follow the bandwagon of rumors and things. No, I knew that it had happened. So yes, but you see, one of the funny things is that the position he holds, or the position he is supposed to hold,
That is, if approved.
Yes, you see, the position earmarked for him. The position of a finance minister is not, I mean, somebody you say, is not for jokes, okay? But then the problem is that it is not he per se. It's not he per se. The finance minister is there on the ticket of the president, okay? The president is the leader of the political party. So here's a situation where the political party has its own programs, which is the manifesto. So this is the agenda that the president wants to execute for his 4-year period, okay? So what happens is that he, the finance minister, has to put whatever in place in terms of making sure that the resources are available so that what the president's agenda is achieved or materialized. So you realize that the finance minister presents the budget on behalf of the president and not he, the finance minister per se. Yes, the president may have good reasons why he wants to use him in particular. But that is not to suggest that there's no, or there are no people. I mean, there are a lot of guys around who can handle the ministry. So, for particular reasons, of course, everybody knows that he's the president's cousin, and maybe the president thinks that he could be more trusted. That is not to suggest that they are not people of equal standings or maybe even above him. But probably these things may come as a result of certain sentiments, you know, so that there may be, since this is my cousin, I can trust him more. Mm-hmm. I recall that in the year 2001, right, when Kufuor came to power, okay, because of the Rawlings factor, Rawlings had just exited, and then there was this perception about the military and a whole lot of things, that the military guys can do as they wish. A whole lot
especially after the Liman.
You see, there was all kinds of funny things there. The picture was like these guys are more loyal to the Rawlingses and all that kind of thing. So Kufuor appointed his brother Adu Kufuor
as defense minister.
And when he was asked why he appointed Adu Kufuor as the defense minister, he said, yes, he is my brother. And because he's my brother, the people there would have more confidence in him because he's my brother. And therefore, they believe that whatever they put out there, I will hear. You see? So, yes, you may have reasons why you want your brother to do something. You may have reasons why you want your cousin to do something. So that is not a problem. But I think, as I'm saying, the problem we have here is this, that he is not the only one. I mean, there are a lot of people that can be, you know, will fit into that chair. How many finance ministers haven't we had ever since Ghana became a republic and then all that? We've had a lot. So it's not only him, you know. But there's one other thing that is also important. And I think the media should be very careful in how they handle issues. You see, as a people, you know, we have our culture and our traditions, the way they follow. Issues relating to people's health, death, and all those things are a deep-rooted aspect of our culture, okay? So when matters like these things come out, yes, of course, I mean, he is a public figure, and it must be told what is happening. But we need to be very circumspect, and we need to be very careful with our choice of words, our posture, our accents, and things like that, because more often than not, the way some of these things are reported, if you are sitting back and listening, as if it's in their interest, or some people are even happy that some unfortunate things are happening to other people. So, we, as I said, first, it's important we need to know. We have to be informed. Whatever is going on. For instance, if the president is sick, the nation needs to know. But the manner, the style, the delivery, how these things are put out there, one must be very careful so as not to create an impression, to suggest, to give any negative picture that people are happy. Because yes, you see, the polarized nature of our politics, the polarized nature of our politics. So it is very clear that yes, the NDC guys have always had problems with Ken Ofori-Atta. Okay, so when matters of this nature are coming out and it is not well executed, it will give an impression, a negative one, that people are happy.
Now, there's one thing that we also need to look at: information management.
Yeah.
As of this morning, there is no official communication by government or even the family to inform the public about where he is and how he's faring. In other jurisdictions, because he's the finance minister, there will be periodic updates in order not to create unnecessary speculations. And you know, somebody like him and the news that broke yesterday could have affected the market numbers. And so you look at this as one part of the conversation, and the other is about the behavior of people on social media. Social media always runs with information, and so you realize that these days, if the information is not being properly managed, that is when you see social media throwing out all kinds of speculations that feed into public perception.
And that is what I was trying to say earlier. It is because of our polarized way. Because Sunday night, the Ministry of Finance came out with an official communication. The Ministry of Finance came out with official communication Sunday night.
That he's traveling.
That he is not well, and as they called it, they used a certain word, post-COVID review, something that, you know.
And the complications were such that it cannot be managed.
The Ministry of Finance came out with an official statement. So, so far as the nation should know, there's an official statement to that effect. Okay? It was there. It was even in one, I think, even in the Daily Graphic. It's there.
No, what I'm saying. That information was out there.
Because you are saying officially. Yes.
Subsequently, when this rumor came out, when we had the aide issuing a statement, that was not official. It was on his Facebook wall. I've seen a subsequent post by Gabi Asare-Otredakun, who said he was within by his bedside, and then also created the impression that there's not create the impression, but told the public that there's no cause for alarm. But what we are saying is that these were rumors that were spreading. At that time, how could it have been managed?
You cannot hold somebody's mouth. As you said, social media. As we're sitting here, we are having a chat. It is scrolling somewhere. It is what somebody takes a shot and then puts it out there. There are things you cannot control. You get it? So as to what someone wants to say and someone wants to do, I don't know if you saw some posts attributed to Marietta that they will burn Supreme Court, they will kill.
That was there's something I've followed from Kumasi, where a student of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology on a WhatsApp group platform is threatening that if the Supreme Court does not allow Jean Mensah into the witness box, they will burn the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And he has since been detained.
Yes. But did you see Marietta's post there? They put Marietta's post there suggesting that it is Marietta who is saying it.
On social media.
On social media. You see? And it's so unfortunate. I mean, very, very bad. But that is the extent to which social media can go. And that is why people would always tell you that never trust social media. Don't listen to social, because if you want to listen to them, you yourself, you go and do something at the end of the day you regret. Okay? Someone says that he wants to do his own stupidity. Why didn't he put his face there? And you go and take the former Attorney General's face and put it there. So anyone who reads it may think it's coming from Marietta. And that is, you know, very, very unfortunate.
Well, let's move on to other topics. And we have a lot on the table. The Supreme Court is back. Today, it is expected to give its ruling. The Appointments Committee is also hearing some of the nominees. Yesterday, one of the prominent government appointees, Esla Usu, appeared before the members, and a number of questions were thrown at her. We'll be playing a short tape before we continue the conversation. Before, as we proceed with this conversation,
no problem.
Sorry, I'm not calling the tape now. I'm sure you monitored. What were your positives and negatives from either the questions or the responses generally?
Oh, well, I mean, you see, one of the funny things is that I haven't been happy with the structure of this, the parliamentary businesses. So many things about parliament that I'm not really comfortable with. Okay. I think they bring limitations even upon themselves. You get it? Vetting somebody for 6 hours. So what? If you have to vet the person the whole day, vet the person. You see, when you do some of these limitations, what is actually expected to be, you don't get it. Because first of all, you've decided that you want to limit each member of the committee to only 3 questions. Right. So, you would want to ask a question. The answers given in that question necessitates a certain follow-up. But what is happening is this. The MPs have come with their own prepared questions. You see? They've got their own prepared questions. So when you ask a question and an answer is given, and that answer needs a follow-up because the answer may not be satisfactory, or that answer may have actually even opened another Pandora's box or something, you are limited. So you don't really get the best out of it. You get it? I recall the time this lady was appointed, is it the Secretary of State or something, Condoleezza Rice. Her vetting took 3 days. 3 solid days.
3 days.
3 days. Condoleezza Rice vetting. You see? Because people want to make sure they've exhausted it. You get it? So, questions upon questions, the answers you give, then certain questions. For instance, you want to ask us also a question about reports coming from NCA, and the whole minister says she's not aware about that, and you leave it.
Let's move on.
I mean, the whole minister, the law is there, and you are telling us that you don't know your duty so far as the law is concerned. And then, let's move on.
Should there be need for follow-up engagement with these people in the public? Because some of the responses may not be satisfactory, as you have said. Some may need further investigations. But what they put before the public is what we witness. What goes on beyond or behind the scenes, we may not know. Because yesterday I heard the chairman of the committee, for example, saying that, look, we all met and then we agreed on what to do.
And that is the point I'm making. You see, that's what I'm saying. That so you see, you give yourself a certain limitation. But and that is why I'm making reference to this Condoleezza Rice case and tell that her vetting took 3 days. You see, so if you have to vet people for certain appointments, right? Look, it is your job. Don't try to put timelines on important things like that to compromise the best that we expect. Because if you put a timeline on it, because the time is nearing, so we should finish. Then meanwhile, there are crucial, important matters that have not come out for discussion. So you see, Parliament itself, right, that's what I'm saying, that the way they have made their structure, put those limitations so we don't get the best out of it. For instance, a normal parliamentary session, someone says, I have an urgent question for the minister. The minister can come and lie, and you can't say anything.
And you move on.
And then you move on.
Should we be reviewing how Parliament operates? Because a lot of questions have been coming up with their standing orders and sometimes it becomes obvious that there is a deliberate attempt to stop something, a process that will elicit information that will satisfy public interest.
It is them. They set their own rules. They decide how to do their own thing. It's not for the public. It is they themselves. So if they are really committed to ensuring that Ghana moves on, if they have conscience that they want Ghana to move on, they will put aside the, partisan issues, and then deal strictly according to their conscience and how we want Parliament to be. Okay.
Edgar Rodu is an insurance marketer. Today, he's with us on the newspaper review segment. We are looking at the appointments committee, those who have been appearing. And yesterday, you all know that Eslo Osu, the communications minister designate, was before the House. We want to look at another critical issue that many people have shown interest in, and that has to do with the closure of radio stations. I want us now to listen to excerpts of how she responded to some of the questions.
It identified a total of 144 FM radio stations which were either operating with expired authorizations or had failed to commence operations within the stipulated 2-year period after the grant of their licenses. And there's a table which indicates who did what. Companies whose 5-year authorization expired before the audit but failed to submit complete set of renewal documents were 51. 26 companies applied for renewal before the audit, but no authorization was issued, and they were requested to resubmit a complete application because their application was incomplete. 18 had been issued provisional authorization before the audit, but hadn't paid the fees in full by the time of the audit. 15 had failed to commence operations 2 years within the time that they were granted authorization, even though the authorizations were still within the 5-year validity. And then the rest, 30, were community and campus FM stations that emanated, 34 that emanated within, that fell within the audit. And the enforcement actions that were undertaken, and I'll be grateful if members would listen carefully. Following the recommendations of the audit report and the decision of the Electronic Communications Tribunal in the case of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association versus the NCA, the authority shut down 51 commercial FM stations for failure to submit complete set of renewal documents prior to expiry of their authorizations. In effect, they did not have a valid authorization, and that included Radio XYZ and Radio Gold. They were not targeted out for special mention. 51 stations were shut down. 5 community FM stations who also failed to submit a complete set of documents following the amnesty granted on 20th October were also shut down. A total of 15 commercial FM stations were fined as a penalty for failure to commence operations within the stipulated period. Now,
and so that was Eslo Osu yesterday before the appointments committee. Many of us have followed, so we don't need to play all the tape. And she categorically said she's not personally involved in the closure of the radio stations. We know what has happened over the last 1.5 years. The stations are still closed. There has been a national call for the reopening of the stations, particularly Radio Gold and Radio XYZ, which many believe was a target by that action. The minister says, no, they flouted the regulations. I've been joined by Mensa Thompson, Executive Director of ASEPA. Mensa, you are welcome.
Morning. Sorry about that.
No problem. You
morning,
put it on silence.
No, it's actually on silent.
But I heard some noise.
I was watching the show while I was coming, just so I wouldn't be late.
You are welcome.
Yeah, so.
How has it been?
It's been good.
Yes, we have had the discussion. We are on course. So you joined the train.
Okay.
What you monitored along the line, I'll give you space. But you were talking about the appointments committee and its work, and then we just showed excerpts of what Eslausu was telling the House. The key concern and why we play this is about the fate of the radio stations that have been closed. You have monitored the conversations.
You see, there is a law, and the law must work. If you go against what the law states, you got to suffer the penalty for that. Radio XYZ, based on what the minister stipulated, Radio XYZ, are you at fault or you are not at fault?
They are not at fault.
So, you mean that everything that the minister says that has been flouted, Radio XYZ is not at fault?
I am personally involved.
No.
I can give you chronology of events that point to a certain direction. But I'm sure at this stage, I don't want to put myself in the conversation, so I'll leave.
I'm just asking because you are in here. And as I said, that the law is very clear. What makes one go out of the law? What makes one stay in the law? And I just asked that question because that is what has been made
the basis for the action.
The basis for the action taken. You see, and you are saying no. Now, one of the things that I find a little strange is that if I were to be in the seat of Radio XYZ, and I know very well that whatever the minister is saying, or the basis for which I have been shut, none of those things can hold me. There's no way I'll sit down for 1.5 years.
Okay.
I've been in court.
So let me give you some information that will help the conversation. The stations are closed. Radio XYZ takes the matter to the National Communications Tribunal. They produce evidence to suggest that, look, yes, within a certain period, within 5 months, at the time they were doing the audit, their license had expired for about 5 months or so. There was a decision to lump all the media houses and sanction them as such. These are the processes we took, and these are the delays that came from the end of the NCA in getting the approvals done. And then we go to meet the Select Committee of Parliament. Kennedy Japan was the chairman of the committee at that time. All MPs on the committee were present. All MPs speak passionately about the need to give the licenses back. The minister is committed to make a pledge. The minister makes a pledge that give me 1 month, go back to court, withdraw your case because you can't help us, you can't come that let's find an amicable solution and be holding a dagger. We go back to the Communications Tribunal in good faith, withdraw the case. The minister says, give me 1 month. I'm traveling with the president, with Mr. Noche. By 1 month time, when we come back, you would have finished that process and then we can come back and talk. 1 month ends into 8 months because we went there in June, early June, July, August, September, October, November, December. On the day the Chief Justice, Enin Yobua, as we speak today, 2019, December, was being vetted, Select Committee calls us again. And days after Kennedy Japan chaired that committee, he's removed as committee chair. Opare Ansah is put there as the committee chair. Opare Ansah reads a short letter from Eslausu that this is what the minister has sent to us, that I am no more interested in asking you to come and let us have the conversation. And I'm quoting Opare Ansah on record. This is what he said, and it is verbatim what I'm saying. And that she said that she's no more interested. You people can go to court. Now, at that juncture, you are in December 2019. You get the impression of a certain import. That is the summary of what has gone on over the period. And so I just said this with reference to the measures we could have taken and what could have happened. And so the business owners are saying there could be something more to it. We can go to court, but if you have waited that long and you start the process, we can anticipate the delay, corner bra. And so they have been using other approaches. And you remember Uweku Brobe, Kweku Bakun, Randiabe, Kwesi Pratt, everybody is now appealing to the authorities that, look, if you are punishing them for it, also consider the huge investment they have made. And therefore, if they are willing and that they are going through the process, do you say that I'm still keeping you closed, or if you are ready, how do we manage it? That is the issue on the table for discussion now.
You know one thing? There's a weapon that can bring down any bloody dove. The minister, from what you're saying to me, I could just sum it up that it's an abuse of power. And you have allowed the abuse of power to sit you down. If she says, so far as she's in the chair, I will not allow it to happen, there's nothing you can do. It is only the court that can hit the minister's head. And if the minister fails to do that, she will be in contempt of court, and that could land her in prison. So if you want to sit on your rights, there's no point making unnecessary noise, because the noise will not bring your license. It's just like after, after the elections, what do you call it?
Are you talking about 2013?
No, just this election, when the NDC guys were all over the place today, this demonstration, this, that, go there. And some of us were saying, all these demonstrations can never, right, change anything about the election. Your option is to go to court. Did the demonstrations bring any change that you wanted? Nothing. It is only the court of law that has the power to make or unmake. So you are sitting here, someone tells you, withdraw your case from the tribunal.
It was not on the street. It was before a competent committee of communications in Parliament. And if you meet members of Parliament who sit in a committee that works with a ministry, and then you have that conversation officially communicated, and then Parliament, because Parliament advised us, and I am saying this on authority because I was personally there.
You see,
and you see, if Parliament advises you that, look, this is the commitment, and the minister has assured the committee that give me 1 month, let them go and do it, what would you do if you were the owner of the business?
I will go to court. Because
you ignore what Parliament. You went there in the first place.
No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. No. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, as you say, so all that Parliament did, has the matter been resolved? The matter, and there you are.
There was a breach of trust.
Whatever it is, the matter has not been resolved. Whether it's a breach of trust, whether it is whatever. As you are saying, the same Parliament says this, and then somebody comes and read some vocabulary, some grammar from the minister, says you can go to court. Why didn't Parliament itself find it as an affront?
And they demonstrated it there.
No, the man had come to read something from the minister saying she is no longer interested in whatever is going on between the two of you, and that if you people like, you can go to court. Parliament itself did not see that the woman has disrespected them.
Okay, I'll come back to you. It's getting interesting. Mensa Thompson, Executive Director of ASEPA, just joined us. Let me take your first response to this conversation. We are talking about the vetting of ministers, and then his initial conversation was that the approach may be good, but it is not exhaustive enough because it doesn't give the committee members enough time to actually grill the MPs to get everything out. And he cited the instance of the US where Condoleezza Rice had to go through vetting for 3 days. And the conversation now is a part of what happened yesterday, which narrows in on the closure of the radio stations.
Yes, thank you very much, Eric. A very good morning to Senior Edgar, and good morning to our choice viewers out there, particularly Mr. Augustine Biney of Gold Label Apparel. A very good morning to you. Yes, it's a very interesting conversation. I've been particularly keen about the processes in Parliament on the vetting. I have a few reservations, and like probably Edgar had pointed out, I think fundamental of my reservations is in fact the composition of the committee, and it dwindles down to the issue of separation of powers, which I think that it's in a way undermining the level of transparency, accountability and oversight role which you expect Parliament to play to the utmost. level. For instance, you have an appointment committee of 26 members. About 6 to 7 of those members are also people who are designated to appear before the committee. Clearly, in a way, the powers of the committee will be conflicted to some extent. Because if you have 6 or 7 of the members of the appointment committee who will be taking turns to appear before the same committee, it probably could be scratch my back, I scratch your back for you. Because if I vote against you and I appear before the committee myself, how are you going to deal with me? If you come and I deal with you brutally on the committee, how would you also treat me when I also appear before the committee? So you've seen ministers like Matthew Poku Prempeh, who are members of the appointment committee, Esla Usu, who are members of the appointment committee, all taking turns to appear before the House. And for me, I think that it takes something away from the committee.
But if you watch what happened yesterday, I didn't see anything suggesting that Esla was being treated with kid gloves. Some even said some NDC members were trying to settle personal scores because of the nature of questions they put to the woman.
From the members of the NDC caucus on the appointment committee. What about the NPP? The appointment committee is not one-sided, and that's why I have advocated for, is that immediately you are nominated to be a minister designate. If you're a member of the appointment committee, you should be replaced. If you're a member of the appointment committee, immediately you are nominated to be a minister, you should be replaced. We cannot continue having people who are part of the committee to be vetted by the same committee. It's unacceptable. It undermines, the principles of accountability and that level of,
conflict of interest.
Something that you expect the process to be. So that's on the other side. I think yesterday the minister designate for communications vetting was very, very interesting. It was one of the vettings I was looking forward to, particularly because of the controversial nature of the candidate herself and her public utterances, how she's approached issues, and her conduct as Minister of Communications, particularly in the closure of media houses, which I've had not just ourselves, but the Media Foundation of West Africa and other civil society organizations have had serious problems with. Now, I understand Edgar's point that he raised to some level of to some extent, but there are fundamental issues of discrimination and probably shared responsibility. I want to put it.
Are you not being harsh? Because yesterday, for example, she told the committee that the NCA was doing its work, like Edgar said, and so if the NCA has done its work, why hold her responsible? I remember when Samuel Ofosampofo raised the issue before the president, when he called the leadership of political parties to discuss how they can put all hands on deck to manage COVID. He's also referred it to the institution that must work. Esla herself has been consistent on that institutions must be allowed to work. I get the impression from yesterday's vetting that, look, the radio stations will be open. You could tell from the responses that there is some softening of positions, or maybe government perhaps in due course as we move along may say, okay, because of public opinion, let us be a little soft and then handle this issue differently. That is the impression I get.
Well, I think that if the minister had been a bit more prudent, I think we wouldn't have gotten to this level, the conversation that we are having now. First of all, you come to a ministry, you meet that radio stations and certain media houses have violated certain aspects of the regulations covering their operations.
Which is wrong.
Yes, which is wrong. We must all admit, which is wrong. Some for 5 years, some for 10 years, some for 15 years. Now, the first thing you should understand as a minister is that, yes, there's a violation of the law, but somebody who is an official or which is an official of government or the regulator have also let down on his responsibility. Because how do you sit there as an operator and allow media houses to operate for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years without renewing their licenses. Okay, then you are sitting there, and that is why at the vetting yesterday, the Honorable Muntaka sought to adduce from the minister whether the NCA had been writing reminders, had been taking certain actions to remind the media houses continuously to comply with the provisions of the law, and they had refused. Because if a media house is not renewing their license and you, the regulator, you are sitting there for 5 years, and one day you just get up and say, all of a sudden you just realized that there was a law which must be applied. Clearly,
there is a contrary view that when you are issued with a license, you know that you renew it every 5 years, and so you cannot say that because you didn't remind me,
yes,
I should go scot-free.
Yes, and that's why the media house is at fault. The media house is at fault for violating the law. But somebody is paid with our taxes to ensure that you, the media house, you comply with the law. That is the difference.
What are you suggesting in this?
What I'm suggesting is that the NCA is not sitting there to watch media houses violate the law. The NCA is paid with our taxes to ensure that you, the media operators, comply with the law. And so if for 1 year, the media house, you are not complying with the law, for 2 years, you are not complying with the law, and the NCA is not doing their job to ensure that you comply with the law, and they're still being paid with our taxes, and they wait till 15 years time and they come and say, I'm closing you, the media house, down, it's like, you know, they are being a court in their own judge. They are being a judge in their own court.
So that case went to the Electronic Communications Tribunal.
Yes.
You remember that was when Radio Gold, for example, was supposed to pay 40 million cedis,
yes,
and so on. Huge fines were imposed.
Yes.
And all those ones were scrapped.
Yes.
And then they said to the media houses that, okay, those fines have been scrapped because there was negligence along the line, and you alone cannot be held responsible. And so go and start afresh and make it look like you don't have licenses. So go and reapply, let NCA take you through the process, and then get your business back.
Exactly. So
that's where it got to. So that issue was addressed appropriately at the tribunal.
And that is why, in the sense of the court, they saw that no, the operator is at fault, but you, the regulator, you're equally liable for the problem that has arisen. So in dealing with the issue, you both must meet each other halfway. So why are we here? Why we are here is that somebody sitting as a minister took a singular decision not to respect.
If you say singular decision, I think you may not be fair to the minister.
Eric, you've sat here and told us right now that a committee of parliament was set up to look into this issue, and a note when the chairman of the committee was replaced.
At that time, it was Operation.
Yes, the minister, the chairman read a note purporting to come from the minister to truncate the entire process. So why we are here is because of the singular decision of the Minister of State.
Her recommendation at that time was that let's go back to court.
If you go back to court, why waste the whole process? Because the communication.
I'll let Edgar come in briefly so that you can wrap up and on this subject to move on.
The point I'm making is that the Electronic Communication Tribunal was sitting as a court with the power, seized with the powers of a court, to make arbitrations and rulings in that respect. And they gave a recommendation, which was a ruling. So what was the minister asking you to go?
What do you anticipate should happen as we continue this conversation?
Yes, before I come to that, let me also emphasize on the point of discrimination. That there were media houses which had violated the law in the same respect as the media houses that were closed down.
Is there evidence to that?
But they were left to operate.
Is there evidence to that?
Yes. Yesterday, that evidence was pointed out to the minister from the National Communications Authority's own website. When they put out the table of the media houses
in good standing,
that is, so the date which they are registered and their date of last license renewal, and you saw that several other media houses were in default, like Oman FM, like Ash FM, like Kesben FM. According to the NCA's document, were all in default. But these radio stations were not subjected to the same level of punitive measures as Radio XYZ, Radio Good, and the other stations that were closed down.
I'll come back to you because you will land on this. But Edgar, he's raised some interesting issues briefly so that we can take his last bite and then we'll move on.
Basically, I mean, what he's saying is the fact. I mean, it's it's quite clear that yes, there were certain discriminatory issues there. But for me, you see, to enable us move on as a people, I think that we have to make good use of the courts. You see, because when somebody thinks he's got the power and can do as he or she likes, no one can drum some sanity into the person. I mean, the person will go all along. Look, let me tell you something here. When this guy was what's the name? Vanderpoy. Vanderpoy, when it was Vanderpoy, right? Yeah, mayor. He was walking in town with some motorcade and all kinds of things.
Managing traffic.
No, I mean, he drives through, I mean, he's like the president. If he's coming, he has a motorcade and everybody should give him, you know. Until someone took him to court and the court told him he should dare not do that again. If he does that, you'll be in contempt of court. And his senses came back and he stopped. You see? So, if he thought he had the power and was doing as he liked, you get it? But someone took him to court. And the court ruled. He said, don't you ever do that again. If you do that, you'll be in contempt and you'll land in prison.
Why is it that all of a sudden in our governance proceedings, we always want to now refer to every issue, go to court, go to court, go to court? Because this go to court syndrome is almost becoming...
It's the best because with someone thinks he's got the power and he does as he likes. So not until something is drumming to him, he will continue to be callous and do all kinds of silly things. But if you go to court and the court says, hey, this is it, it ends the matter.
So where we are, maybe yes or no, do you think at this stage it's been dragged for so long, the radio station should be back? Or you think the go to court must work?
From the narrative, there has been a tribunal. There's been, what do you call it? The Parliamentary Committee on Communications and what have you. All these things have taken place. You are talking about 8-9 months and still nothing is happening. What do? You said the minister says go to court.
I asked you a question.
No, don't tell that.
So should conscience come to play here or go to court? I'm asking you yes or no, then I go to him.
You know, it's just like someone says the word common sense is not common.
To common people.
So at the end of the day, if the person hasn't got conscience, there will be no conscience.
Okay, I think it summarizes what Edgar wants to say. Edgar wants to carefully manage this. That's
I've told you from the one. If you want to sit on your rights, that is your problem. But I will not let someone sit on my rights. That's the point I'm making. So if you think that you are not prepared to go to court, then shut up. Because that's the only place you get a solution. If you are not prepared to go, stop making the noise, because the noise you are making will not bring you back to life.
Shall I take it from there?
Yes. Well, I think, again, I agree and disagree with Edgar. There are other means of resolutions, of impasses. And that is why, right from the beginning, after the ruling of the Electronic Communication Tribunal, the next thing was to refer the matter to the entity that has the oversight responsibility of the NCA, so that those issues could be amicably resolved.
Which happened because all the media houses affected started applying to the NCA for authorization.
So,
and that process was on their table for a long time because they kept telling us anytime we followed up that the board is here to meet, the board is here to give approvals until the surprise day when they came for the
So
closures.
business-wise, the prudent thing to have been done right from the beginning was to have taken legal action against the NCA. But I think that because of the relationship between the regulator, because at the end of the day, you come back as an institution and work under the regulator who is going to supervise your work or your operations, and so you'd also want to manage the relationship you want to have with the operator, and so you want to use other means of dispute resolutions like the parliamentary committee's arbitration, which was going well until the minister
and behind the scenes
lobbying, which was going well until the minister truncated
we don't have
the process.
Much time. We have other issues to discuss, but we know that there are attempts to get the stations opened, and we strongly believe that God will be on our side, and authorities will also understand that, look, those investments cannot go waste, and we have Radio Gold, Radio XYZ, and several other radio stations in the western, maybe northern, any part of the country. In fact, we understand some community stations were equally affected. We'll all be back so that they can at least create jobs for people, and they can have other voices that can help to shape public discourse. We want to look at the proceedings at the Supreme Court. Don't forget, this discussion segment is sponsored by Health Alert Clinic. You just follow what is scrolling on your screen, and you can just pick a phone, call them, tell them your ailment, whether it is joint ache or hypertension or anything related to diabetes. Just go to them. They'll give you all the support, and you stay healthy, you remain productive for this country. Now, before we talk about the Supreme Court and its proceedings, I want you to listen to one of the MPP lawyers. I think it's Akoto Ampao. After he has spoken, I will introduce the brief banter at the Supreme Court by Tsatsu Tsikata, and then we'll talk about our expectations. Let's listen to Akoto Ampao now.
Such an application is only considered when, at the time of closing the case, no human ingenuity could foresee the existence of the particular evidence the party is seeking to adduce. That cannot be the case in this situation, my lords. Again, my lords, we also rely on Honorable Enobosu and another, referred to by counsel for first respondents. And again, my lords, refer your lordships to the case of Combat versus Lambin, 1989. Sorry, my lords. Combat, spelled K-O-M-B-A-T, versus Lambin, L-A-M-B-I-M, 1989-91 Ghana Law Reports, 324, where Benny J, as it then was.
So that was lawyer Akoto Ampao trying to convince the Supreme Court that NDC has no case, and they should throw out that attempt to Ampao. Thank you very much, Akoto Ampao. And they should throw out the attempt to reopen the case because they are only buying time. Tsatsu Tsikata has also been making a strong case. We are listening to a little of how it unfolded in court now.
Circumstances, you declare the results from the Electoral Commission. My lords, that is a perfectly legitimate legal separation. The EC is a corporate body, and the returning officer is an individual who happens to be the chairperson of that corporate body. You cannot, with respect, you cannot make the two identical. My lords, otherwise, why would the Constitution make the returning officer the chairperson, not the whole EC? The Constitution is quite clear in separating the role of... We appreciate that, but then it is the commissioner who declares the result.
So you heard lawyer Tsatsu Tsikata making his case. Let me start with you, Edgar. We know the story. What do you expect? All of us are speculating. What do you expect?
In my view, I think this case will throw it out. You see, I think the last time I was here, I made a prayer. My position is very simple. The NDC made a case that Nana Akufo-Addo did not get the 50
plus one.
For you to make such a statement, then what it simply means, in my view, is that you yourself, you've been able to collate the results. And based on your pink sheets, other information available, maybe Nanado had 49.2. So you present it. But as we sit today, ever since they started, there has not been any situation where you have proven the figure. And all we are hearing is grammar, legal terms, and what have you. For me,
you call that grammar?
Of course. Isn't it English language they are speaking there? English language and sometimes Latin and certain interpretations. My brother, I say to you, you did not, your point of emphasis while you are in court is that the man did not get the 50+1 to be declared a president. So if the man did not get 50+1 to be president, you should be able to tell how much he got. It's as simple as that. And at one point in time, is it a justice appeal? Ask Asidun Kitia, what figure did the man get? He said, I didn't bring it to court. What figure did John Mahama get? I didn't bring it to court. Then why are you there?
So in your opinion, the case will be thrown out briefly as he did, so that we can move on to other issues.
No, Eric, this is a motion.
Speak.
There's a motion of leave to European case to subpoena a witness into the witness box. Now, these are parts of legal processes. It is acceptable legal process or convention that a party can apply for leave of the court to reopen their case after they've closed their case, for something, to do something which they didn't anticipate and had occurred. And yesterday, I was particularly excited when lawyer Koto Ampao cited the Poku Mpoku case in an argument in opposition of the motion, when the Poku Mpoku case cited by Koto Ampao itself was an advancement of the issue raised by Mr. Lawyer Chachuchi Kata. Because what is the ruling of the court in the Poku Mpoku case? The court is saying that before the court can grant or reject a motion of leave to reopen case, the parties, or the first thing that the court must establish is whether the party was not negligent or had not failed to do due diligence in adducing their evidence, such that they are seeking to use that leave of motion to reopen their case to fill up the gaps in the evidence. Now, unfortunately for lawyer Koto Ampao, lawyer Chachuchi Kata had filed two separate motions. He had been extra due diligent. First, he filed a motion of leave to serve interrogatories, which was asking the chairperson of the first respondent 12 specific questions to answer. If she had answered those questions and their case had been closed, there would have been no need to reopen their case. So they are taking steps. The second was motion of leave to inspect documents in possession of the chairperson of the first respondent. Again, the court had refused it. And that second motion would answer the question that Edgar is raising, that where is your figures, or where is your documents, or where are your figures or your coalition that proves that this person did not get 50% plus one. Edgar, that is a very right analogy that you made. The only problem is that the chairperson of the first respondent, who is the return officer in this particular instant, has churned out several figures during the collation, such that based on the figures that they've given to the parties, we don't even know which one is correct. So in doing your computation, which one do you use? And that is why they filed that motion for the EC to present their original copies of the documents to the court.
But if you listen to Chachuchi Kata in court, he was asked a related question and he told the court that they have their documents and they believe their documents are authentic, and they want EC to produce there so that they can compare notes. So if they think that their documents are authentic, it's not in line with what Edgar says, that you produce your authentic document and let the court know what you have.
You see, again, I am the petitioner. I have filed my case. Now, I did not file my case that I got this percentage of vote. My case is basically that the second respondent did not get the constitutional threshold of vote that requires a declaration in his favor. Now, who made a declaration in his favor? The first respondent.
The returning officer.
Who is the returning officer? So, where is the declaration? Because this is a public officer who has done or executed a responsibility in favor of the public, for the public, on behalf of the public. So, where is the results? Provide the results, because you see, Chachu's the first respondent, sorry, the petitioner of the second respondent's coalition will never make any basis in court unless the chairperson have provided their evidence, and then I come with. Then, if I have anything to prove that,
can it do the other way around?
No, you see, the only problem is that the chairperson is a public officer. The documents that he holds, the constitution requires that they publish those documents. They fail to publish those documents at the headquarters of the first respondent.
But the EC, if you listen to the lawyers and the argument by the MPP lawyers who always address the media, the impression I get is that all what NDC wants from the EC is already in the public domain.
So provide it.
The thing has been gazetted. It's in the public domain. It is not hidden. You see, one of the things that, you see, like someone says, I have made an emphatic statement. I've made an emphatic case. I will have to submit to you the evidence that I have. Then based on that, you then call for auditing of those documents. Because I tell you that, look, based on all the pink sheets that my polling agents endorsed, together with the EC officer, together with all the participants that are supposed to endorse, these are the documents. And therefore, when you tally everything, you collate them, you analyze and assemble, these are the right figures. Just a minute.
Okay. It was on the floor, so land quickly so you can.
Just a minute. So, if I submit that to you, then it becomes the basis for auditing the authenticity of the document that is there. But you say, it's like someone says that what? You have stolen my something. What have I stolen? They say, you go and bring everything in your room for us to see.
It is not about everything in your room.
No.
It is more than everything in your room.
No, you see, let me tell you.
You have stolen my bucket. So bring that bucket in your room and let's prove that it's mine.
No, I like the way you say you have stolen my bucket. You are emphatic. What is your bucket? You describe your buckets, and therefore a search is made.
All right. So
Edgar, which part of our electoral laws that particularly puts pressure or directly tells political party to collate results? Which part of our electoral laws?
It is not a question of collating the results. It is a question that why do you think you signed the pink sheet?
So Edgar, I'm going to come there.
No. Why do you think you signed the pink sheet?
Edgar, I'm going to come there because you see, let us not make this whole.
No, but then if you did not collate,
my inability.
How then do you say that the person did not get more than that?
Edgar, my inability to collate a result or to produce a result cannot be the basis for which electoral commission can declare any results.
No, wait a minute. I find your position.
No, I'm coming.
No, I find your position straight. Then maybe choose your words well. Because if you say you did not collate, and then the one who is supposed to collate has collated, how do you challenge the person?
You challenge it because certain things happened prior to the coalition at the headquarters of the first respondent, where the coalition has to be done. The coalition must have happened in front of all political party agents who must be present before the final declaration form should be prepared. Unfortunately, yes, unfortunately in this particular instance, the two representatives of the petitioners who were supposed to be there and in their presence the final declaration form prepared and they append their signatures were sent away by the chairperson of the first respondent to go and speak with the petitioner, confer with the petitioner, and come back. But within the period which they have left, the chairperson quickly, put this document together and go and make a declaration. That cannot be the basis to say, okay, because I don't have anything to show you. Those violations that you made should stand because I don't have anything to prove to you.
Well, we cannot continue the argument.
It's important. Let me clear this thing very well.
But if you can make it very brief, because
some of these arguments, when I hear them, I just do. First of all, the EC is not collating results. The EC is receiving results from the regional centers.
They collate.
No, wait a minute. Those results have already been collated.
At the headquarters, they collate.
Listen, what I'm saying is this. The EC is receiving results from the various regional centers. So what happens is that at the end of the day, the 16 regions, they just add it up and put the figure down.
That's also collation.
Right? The question, if you have a difficulty, your representatives are all at the regions, where you can get that information from.
Yes.
Your parliamentarians are all there.
Exactly.
No, wait a minute. So I don't need even the EC, because I have my regional, what are the regional party, regional party chairman and everything. They are all there, and then they agree to this is the results coming from Ahafo. They all, okay, this is the results coming from Ahafo. Okay, it is there. This is the results coming from Ashanti. This is the results coming from Greater Accra. Your regional chairmen are all there. So you don't need EC. Those figures, you can pick them up and then do your own calculation. So why would you need EC?
So
at the end of the day, EC announce the figure. Then you can say, Massa, based on all the regions, the 16 regions, with the figures that they have, whether somebody was sent out of the room or somebody was not sent out of the room.
You should also take into consideration that there is video evidence of results that were announced in hideouts.
Gentlemen, that is why.
How do you settle that one?
That is why I am saying it. You don't use those as evidence. Bring your figures. Bring your facts.
Mr. Thompson, land on this and then let's
because on what basis did you say the man did not get a 50%?
He may have a response that is contrary, so let's listen to him.
You can challenge a result of an election, not only based on coalition, but also on violations of the law. That action by the EC chairperson, by sending the representatives of the petitioner away before the final declaration, was in violation of CI 127. Again, Edgar, how do you juxtapose this? That results that were prepared from the Eastern region, the regional collated results signed, when it was faxed to the headquarters, the results had changed.
That is evidence. So bring that one clear.
No, okay. And that is why
that is evidence. You are saying that the results are changed. So bring it. You are saying that the results from the Eastern region that was faxed to the headquarters. When it got to the headquarters, the figures are changed.
Edgar.
So it means wait a minute. So what it simply means is that you are holding the original. Tender it in evidence.
Yes, those issues were raised at the headquarters.
It is not a question of the headquarters. No, it is not a question of the headquarters. You have gone to court. Tender that document to court as an evidence to say that Mr. Chief Justice and your team of judges.
It is part of the evidence in court.
Which evidence?
It is there.
But they asked for the figures. They said they don't have it.
It's not figures. It's not only figures. I'm talking about more practices.
More practice. You know one funny thing. One of the things that it's a little bit interesting here is this: that if you make reference to some of these cases, the cases that have been cited in all the attempts to introduce these interlocutors and all everything that has been done. The funny thing is this: you needn't forget one thing, that the Supreme Court is a master of its own, and the Supreme Court is not bound by any other decisions. Even the previous rules, they are not bound by it.
And won't it, if these actions by the Supreme Court becomes sustained, is it not likely to influence public perception about the court itself, which is dangerous, especially when precedents are thrown out in the name of the Supreme Court can do what it wants?
You see, there's a rule that says if it suits you, you will not have a problem. If it doesn't suit you, you have a problem.
Is it sweet? Are you
No, what I'm saying is that there is that rule. Anyone who goes to court and loses has a problem with the court.
Okay, I understand.
Anyone who goes to court and wins, the court is good.
Mr. Thompson, I am the Supreme Court judge here. My ruling is that I give you 30 seconds to wrap up.
Well,
otherwise there'll be contempt.
I think that the court must look into the issues very well. And I have particularly taken notice of something written by Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh of CDD. You know,
and it is very profound.
Apt. You see,
very
the
profound.
law is there, but the law must apply. You know, with every law has a letter and spirit of the law. You must look at the spirit of the law, why the laws are made in applying the law. And so, of course, you may think that yes, the rules are there, and you are applying strictly to the rules, but there are other things of the public interest that must be satisfied. Of course, how can you have an election petition where the only person who was responsible for the challenge results is not allowed to testify? It's clearly, you clearly have not done justice to the issues. You clearly are not able to, you know.
So let's take it that yes. Edgar says the Supreme Court is still operating within the law, which everybody has admitted. Others are saying that, look, it's up to the conscience of those managing the case to see the way forward. But let's leave it.
The Supreme Court,
if you talk too much, it will be contempt of court.
The Supreme Court must act.
Let me read a few text messages here, and then we'll move on to. You have a petition before Parliament.
Yes.
Once you are here, it will be worthy to speak to it briefly, because you complained yesterday about Dr. Isiama, who was not willing, or who says he's not willing to testify. I would want you to clarify that. Now, these text messages came from people all over. This one says, anybody who is bent on hindering processes which will lead to the bringing out of the hidden truth about the 2020 elections must note that no one plants cassava and reaps maize. One definitely reaps what he plants or sows. Asanko from Santa Maria. This one says, coronavirus, the pastors should advise parents, guardians and school authorities to ensure that the children wear the nose masks rather than calling for closure of schools? Or do we conclude that homes are better places that will insulate the kids from contracting the virus? Or are we saying that if the schools are closed, the children will stop roaming? From Ablade, Ifyekuma Zongo. This text message came from OPK Goso. Mahama and NDC are just deceiving the NDC supporters for another Mahama flag bearership bid in 2024 because their case lack evidence. And how can you close a case and come back to reopen it? So it's much ado about nothing. Regards to Honorable Martina J. Mensah Kosa, MPP, MP Techiman South. And it goes on. This one is from, and it goes on to greet Owusu Sechere, MPP, Ahafo, Chairman. This text message says, from Masawudu in Kumasi Bantama, JM and his legal team appeared in court without any evidence to support their claims. You are now relying on cross-examination against your respondent. Regards to the Honorable Dr. Alhaji Baumia, Vice President of Ghana. This one says, Musa Abatwa in Kumasi. Why is Supreme Court judges not comfortable with Chachu Kata when he made references to God for truth to be spoken by Jin Mensah? Why then are the oaths taken and sworn by the Bible or the Quran? How truth and justice be served if EC chairperson fails to give evidence through the cross-examination, when 12 interrogatories and so on and so on? If indeed the Supreme Court is seeking to serve the truth and justice, they shouldn't shut the application to reopening the petition case down. Two more. This one says, good morning from Otumfuo, the convener of I was shocked to the marrow. So Eslowusu does not know that on Man FM, a corporate has been left off the hook and others, including XYZ, has been punished. Dear NDC members on the appointments committee, please watch before you leap. This one from DJ Omale and YOC Go. So COVID-19 is real, so let's follow the safety protocols. And Mahama and the NDC petition doesn't hold water. With regards to NPP organizer, I'll say Boating Akapop in Ahafo Regional, NPP Chairman Kwabena. Why is it that, look, if you send your messages, just go straight to the point and let's stop the the greetings, it will limit space. It will create space for other messages to be read. You presented a petition before the appointments committee. I think it's about against Ken Ofori-Attah's confirmation. And yesterday, you granted us an interview suggesting that you are disappointed. But is Dr. Isiamah the only person, and why specific those names you mentioned? I saw the special prosecutor, I saw Dr. Isiamah. There are others you listed in your petition.
Yeah. So there are a number of people who, based on the position that they occupy, they are better placed to testify, on the issues we've raised against the nominee. The former special prosecutor, Mr. Martin Amidu, who wrote the corruption risk assessment report, is better placed to testify on that, on the JAPA transaction, to the committee. Dr. Isiamah, he was deputy governor of the central bank until somewhere 2018 when he had to resign. And so all the processes leading to the administration of the banks before their ultimate collapse, he was involved. And so he was better placed to give an insight to the committee. The official administrators of some of the banks, KPMG, so we summoned Mr. Simon Donu, who was, the official administrator for some of the banks at KPMG, also to be part, and other people, the customers of the Collapse Bank.
Before your petition?
No, we consulted some of them specifically. There are some of them we consulted, like the customers of the Collapse financial institutions who are willing to testify. We consulted them because they are testifying within their private capacity. The people we didn't consult were people occupying positions of trust. They are either occupying or were occupying positions of trust, and based on those positions, they were privy to the information on those particular allegations, and so it is in furtherance of their responsibility to the state to testify. And so what we are asking the committee to do was to subpoena them.
So
we didn't have to consult them.
Many of them turn out to react like what we saw Dr. Isiamah do. Is it going to affect the weight of your petition?
No, it is not. And Dr. Isiamah cannot say he won't testify. If Parliament subpoena him, he doesn't have a choice.
Okay, we don't have much time. Edgar, a quick comment on this so that we can wrap
I'm
up.
not aware of the what do you call it?
Okay.
The petition. I'm just hearing it for the first time.
Okay.
That he's petitioned Parliament, and then I don't even know the basis. What's the reason for?
So should I give him the space to land?
I don't even know the reason why you petitioned Parliament. Petitioned Parliament before what?
Yes, for against the nomination of Ken Ofori-Attah, we've raised a number of issues. Principal of them is his involvement in the JAPA transaction and the collapse of banks, and then issues of conflict of interest. In contravention of the Financial Administration Act, which provides that a person holding the position of Minister of State should not do certain things which are specified in the Act, which if he does them will put himself...
Is it with reference to the issuance of bonds?
Not just that, the operations of his private entity Data Bank, their involvement in the insurance of state assets which has been taken away from SIC and given to Data Bank, and a number of things which we believe that it's relevant for the committee to look into.
Well, I think if that is the case, then I think it's better left with how do you call it? Parliament to delve into it to see whether there are merits and demerits in it. But then a few that you said, I can say some of them, there are no basis. I mean, for instance, this when it comes to the insurance issues, because that is my line. Okay, so those arguments that have been made about he taking how do you call it, businesses from ESA, those things, they don't come in at all. You should understand how insurance works. No one is bound by any law to go and insure with any particular insurance company. There's no law that says that state assets must be insured with SIC. If the marketing skills of a particular company...
If somebody has a business interest in an entity, and by virtue of the person's position, a state organization which is doing business that state organization loses that business to a private entity.
You see, and I'm saying,
isn't that the subject of interest?
No. Then at the end of the day, there's no need for anybody to be in private business, because at the end of the day, the state is the bigger.
That is why the conflict of interest becomes an issue.
Wait. Let me educate you there. And
I'll be interested in the education.
And so don't go and make pronouncement that would embarrass you.
If I listen to you, maybe my response will settle whether you are on factual basis or otherwise.
I'm saying that there is no law in the first place that states that a state asset must be insured with SIC.
That's a fact.
There is no law like that. If SIC
did you listen to my submission? My submission was that a state entity is doing business. Somebody occupying an official position is said to have taken a decision or influenced a decision that takes the business from the state.
You said it is said.
You see,
you don't say it is said. What is the basis?
He didn't even have to influence the decision.
No, you see.
Can you repeat the essence of competition?
You said what it is said.
He didn't even have to influence the decision to give state businesses to his private bank. The fundamental question is, all these state assets and state agencies which now have found their way to Data Bank as the official insurers, prior to 2017, when Mr. Ofori-Atta became finance minister, were they insuring with Data Bank? So how was it?
But the question he has raised, the question he has raised is significant. If there's no proof that he directly, if there's no proof, because you know his first submission was that it is not mandatory. The second submission was that if there's no proof, how do you then conjecture?
No, there is existing proof.
Let me tell you something here.
You've given Parliament proof.
No, number two, let me tell you something here. People are talking about Data Bank, they are talking about enterprise. What is Ken Ofori-Atta's stake in any of these companies?
Okay, we don't have much time.
You see, people will just make all kinds of it's important. Let me clarify.
The ostrich.
No, let me tell you something. No, because that's what I'm saying, that as for the insurance industry, that is my field. So that one, I will not sit down and allow people to say anything that has come up.
But you are bullying us.
That's what
let me educate you. Take your education. Let me also take my post. I'm now the Supreme Court judge. So if you stop, you are content. That's how we want to end this morning's conversation. It's always hot. Next week, Edgar will be here, and I'm sure Mr. Thompson will join us so that we continue the debate. Do yours at home, and join Abena. If you have a text message, send it quickly, and then she'll read them out. We'll be back with Abena to wrap up the show.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah.
Always drink fresh, natural, mix, mineral, water.
You still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome back. Abena, time has come.
Yes.
Do your quick messages.
Yes, my quick message. Please, I've seen some people sending messages to the message line itself, to normal message. Please keep sending them to the WhatsApp so that it's easier to read and we don't have to do the back and forth. Now, this one says that I suggest that the president should kindly fix a date for fasting and prayers, at least 3 days against COVID-19, because I remember that last year we prayed and God answered us. Another one coming from Eben from Kobenya. He says Parliament shouldn't allow any virtual vetting for Finance Minister designate. I'm suspecting he's running from his deeds. I'd have to cut it short so I can read a bit more now. It looks like Eben wants me to read his message by all means at all costs. Now this one says, God bless you all for your job you're doing for Mother Ghana. Never give up. Let God take over. Coming from Otum 4, he says, I was shocked to the marrow. So Esla Owusu does not know how Oman FM, a corporate, has been left off the hook, and others, including XYZ, have been punished. Dear NDC members on the appointments committee, please watch before you leap. Another one also says that...
So do two more quickly.
Right, so I'll do two more. So this one says the Supreme Court is just like an action movie. We already know. Supreme Court is just like an action movie. We already know the blowman. This is from Francis Kofi from Lower Manya.
So that's all for now. My name is Eric Ahianyo. Abena, your name is?
Nana Abena Sewa. Thank you for staying with us.
So join us tomorrow. Remember, you can always send your expectations to us, and if there's something happening around your neighborhood, remember to send them to 020-866-7000. Our news team will be there to follow them.